And as Alina was just saying, Trump's set to take the stage in an hour. And right now, the Biden campaign already releasing this preemptive statement, in part saying Donald Trump says his Republican Party is the party of freedom, but tell that to the women who have had the freedom to make their own health care decisions ripped away and their pregnancies monitored by the government, or to the teachers that have been told what books they can have in their classroom. It goes on. Well, earlier today, President Biden delivered the commencement speech at West Point Military Academy, and he spoke about defending democracy from threats abroad and threats at home. The president reminding the cadets to swear fidelity not to a person or political party, but to the Constitution, saying the cadets will be facing threats like none before. NewsNation correspondent Jackie Koppell is live for us at West Point tonight. Jackie.
Hi, it's good to be with you this evening. President Biden gave his third commencement address at West Point earlier today, the first two taking place in 2012 and 2016 when he was vice president. Today, as he did in the past, he praised the accomplishments of the students. He also noted that their special skills would be very useful in these very consequential times that we live in.
President Joe Biden.
President Biden greeted with cheers at West Point, the 222-year-old military academy, as he addressed the graduating cadets as they became second lieutenants. The president praised the graduating class, but his message was also aimed at America as a whole, as well as foreign leaders, as a way to show off U.S. military might.
On your very first day at West Point, you raised your right hands and took an oath, not to a political party, not to a president, but to the Constitution of the United States of America, against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
The president also discussed strengthening NATO and deepening alliances in the Indo-Pacific, and directly addressed the ongoing wars in Ukraine and Gaza.
There are no American soldiers at war in Ukraine. I'm determined to keep it that way. But we are standing strong with Ukraine, and we will stand with them. In the Middle East, while we conduct urgent diplomacy to secure immediate ceasefire that brings hostages home, our Army and Navy have deployed a temporary pier on the Mediterranean in record time to increase life-saving aid to the Palestinians.
Biden said America is the essential nation and the only superpower in the world. But a new report says that status may be challenged later this year. NBC is reporting Russia and North Korea are planning some kind of military provocation in October, just before the presidential election, possibly in an effort to boost Donald Trump's chances of winning and create more instability in certain parts of the world. President Biden acknowledged the current geopolitical climate as he closed his speech, calling on the graduates to protect American values at home and abroad.
Ideas need defenders to make them real. That's what you, the class of 2024, are all about. Defenders of freedom, champions of liberty. You must keep us free at this time, like none before.
President Biden also highlighted the decrease in sexual assault and sexual harassment rates in active duty forces, something that was met with cheers from the stands. Now, active duty members, as well as veterans, are a key voting bloc for Biden, one he hopes to make inroads with. In 2020, he actually lost the veterans' vote to Trump by a margin of 54 to 44. So it's safe to assume he hopes that today's speech convinced at least some of them to give him a second term. Back to you.
All right, Jackie Koppell at West Point with that report. Thank you. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.